to reduce all listings every 3 weeks to minimum 5%. 10. I sell 75% or more of my listing inventory. 11. I return every signed call, contact every buyer, leaving 2 hours new buyer. 12. I deliver high qualified buyer to a pre-qualified by mortgage lender and a signed buyer broker agreement. Earn more commission less time with less energy spent. I recognize success comes with consistent action, ultimate outcomes. Therefore, I commit to following every step 12 steps of success. All right, Tony Robbins. Now I am the voice. I will lead, not follow. I will believe, not doubt. I will create, not destroy. I am a force for good. I am a leader. Defy the odds. Set a new standard. Step up. Step up. All right, opening affirmations. I am a professional salesperson who gets home sold. I use information to help my clients achieve their goals. I price my listings right. I focus on small wins every day. Real estate transactions are abundant in the market. My abilities make me succeed. I get stronger with every step. I am the master of every situation. My confidence is unshakable because I live with integrity. I always have productive thoughts. I take excellent care of my body. I start each day with abundance of energy. I am task-oriented. I set clear priorities. I know what I want and I get it. I attract and enjoy greater financial abundance each day. My gratitude gives me a limited financial success. I think prosperous thoughts. I am prosperous. I handle my life and I profit every day. Taking action is easy for me. I am eager to start each day. I enjoy being debt-free. I exercise daily. I enjoy helping my clients succeed. I can help lose. I'm a real estate expert. My SOI expects me to be their real estate expert. I'm a professional. I'm financially independent. I earn commissions ease helping others. I have solutions. Prospecting is good for my business. I call expires for self-livers. Prospecting is easy for me. I enjoy following SOI. People are attracted to my enthusiasm. I use knowledge to see. I get mental trauma with every call I make. I'm an outstanding salesperson. I'm a powerful agent. I know how to succeed. I keep positive, excited, productive thoughts in mind at all times. Yes! Morning, sir. Morning. Oh boy, morning. Again.
So the good news is that this evening, it was up to bat. He was on deck, and there was only one out, and then they scored a double play, and he never even got up.
So he never got
He did. I'm like, that was a good one to miss. He plays today, but I bet you.
Oh yeah, go up from that. I don't know how it's supposed to.
This was a clear little earlier herbs.
In my way through the darkness,
If they covered the field, that would be
guided by a beating
well, that's good.
heart.
It was good.
I don't know where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand. Say I'm caught up in a dream. Life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. Well, that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. I try carrying the weight of the world, but I only have 2 hands. get the chance to travel the world, but I don't have any plans. I wish that I could stay forever this young, not afraid to close my eyes. Life's a game made for everyone, and love is the prize. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. Didn't know I was lost.
right, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good handful of you there were there last night. That was fun. Hopefully everybody had fun.
It literally
No,
was.
I think, yeah, it was good. Ernst, you like that?
Yeah.
Did you want, I know there was
Yeah, it was fun. So
awards or whatever was won or.
numbers ended out that we set an appointment for almost every 30 contacts. So it was awesome results and there were 12 people there. And we had 12 leads as well on top of that. So I set, I think, 12 leads for their group. So there was a lot of opportunities. So great job to everybody was there. April, the first one was so we'll save that one for her. But Mr. Eric here set the most appointments.
Nice.
You had the most contacts.
Nice. Good job.
Nice job. Well done. Was she already up there? Was she up there? No, Gretchen. Oh, did you overnight get up? Oh, cool. Excellent. All right, good deal. All right, well, so yesterday was interesting, walking around, and as I was walking around doing, with the, splitting in, prospecting, and moving through that process with everybody, I found that there were some key things that we need to make sure that we're each doing. So I was hoping that maybe I could just build on top of what we did yesterday. There she is, the winner of it all.
There you go.
Or at least the first appointments. Eric, how many appointments did you set?
3.
Nice job, man. That's fantastic. Well done.
A lot of good coaching.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
have done without it.
I heard him over there. It was like, UFC coaching, man. It's like, come on! Go! Something like that, right?
New standard of coaching.
Huh?
New standard of coaching.
Oh, yeah. It was good. All right, cool. Okay, so I just wanted to build on top of those things, and I thought that there was some very consistent things, and I just want to make sure everyone's listening really closely to me, because the things I'm going to talk about were the things that didn't matter whether I split in and listened to April, or if I was overhearing Eric, or Amaria, or Liz, or Linda. All of them, Vladimir, you, Greg, anyone that I listened to, they were doing these things. And maybe the better way to say it is they were not doing these things. So I just want to point out that, and then even what was funny is I started off doing it, and then Lindsay was listening to a call that was splitting in, and I took a call and did a call with Amaria, and by the time it was done, I wasn't doing it. So the point is, I just want you to know we're all guilty here, right? So just I want to point these things out because they're really critical to what I would consider to be an active listener. And it's not like you're going to sit there and go, oh, well, maybe some of you in here just because it's maybe new concept, but majority of us in here will say, well, yeah, I know that stuff. I should be doing that. And I just would encourage you. But the thing I find is that the more an agent comes to understand the business, the less they do of these things, because they're sure of the direction of where the call should end, but they forget the baby steps or the key little things that need to happen in between the call. So let's just review from a prospecting standpoint. And again, nothing new, but I'm going to start at the top of my list that I always start with, which is number one. That is that there has to be a clear focus. I think yesterday I was talking about Warren Buffett and Bill Gates in their 2 interviews, these 2 little biographies that are done, or interviews that are being done, and they said everything comes down to one word, and it's focus. And so the focus that I would just challenge you to have is maybe the words of a Stephen R. Covey, who passed away in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He would always say this, start with end in mind, right? Okay? So my point is just where are you going, right? Just as a reminder. And the focus in prospecting is really only one objective, and that is we need to make sure that we're setting appointments, or set the appointment. And I think it's a good reminder that, look, you can do lots of great things on a call, but I would tell you that the most important thing you need to be focused upon is the fact that you're going to set an appointment. And I get that it seems like common sense. It seems like, well, duh, George, that's why I'm on the call, and I am here to tell you. I watch people just like all over the place on the call. and that every question should be leading back to getting the appointment. Every even every repeat and affirm should be driving to get the appointment. I mean, everything has to be focused on setting the appointment, right? Rates of speech, tonality, pitch, all the things. Some of the things we may get to in here. All of it drives to one single focus, which is set the appointment. All right, number 2 is I think it's important that you have that energy. Now, when people, I always talk about energy, they sometimes think I mean like jumping all around everywhere. I mean you can do that, that's fine, but I'm not really talking about that. I just think that focus takes a lot of energy, and I think that you have to recognize that that's a reality. For years, Rob watched me. Personally, I would prospect on a mini tramp. Those little rebounders that are about this big, those little trampolines, and I would stand on that trampoline and I would prospect because I would literally jump on it to keep my energy engaged 100%. I always stood up when I prospected, and I always wanted to make sure that I was keeping my energy where it needed to be. When I would prospect, I was real careful, very careful during that time frame what I was eating, because I knew, again, it was energy that was going to get me what I needed.
So you used to prospect on it?
Yeah.
On the trampoline?
Yeah, I remember I could hit my ceiling I hit my head on the ceiling. Oh yeah. Yeah, I could jump high enough on it, yeah.
No, he's not doing backflips when it was on it. It was just bouncing.
Double somersaults and all that stuff. No. Just, yeah. But there's a lot, if you do a little research on that, talking about your cells moving like that, of just what it does for your energy is pretty profound. So
the other thing that was being done while he's doing it is, I wasn't on the trampoline, but we would hold the sides of our cubicles, which also forced our head back, which created our chest to come out, which gave more oxygen and stuff in the body.
Yeah.
So he'd be bouncing up while he's doing this, not so out of breath that he can't talk, but just to keep more air coming into the body.
Yeah. I always have music playing. I heard, and I think Lindsay got music going last night. I can't even imagine prospecting without music. And the music was loud. And people would say, "Gosh, you sound like you're in a really loud place." And I would always say, "Yeah." I go, "We're having a good time, fun time selling homes here. We got music going and everything's happening." So I'm a huge proponent of making sure that you have that energy. And you could talk about energy with the having a mirror. And looking into it from the standpoint of making sure that you're smiling. What's the energy that is emanating from the standpoint of your conversation? These seem like real basic things, but before I had a little mini tramp, I would literally jump. There'd be times where I would literally do jumping jacks to just get my energy right, because I needed to have the right energy. What's usually happening is people are hunched over, dialing on their phone, and then you're supposed to be like Mr. or Mrs. Energy, and it's not reality. It's just not going to happen. Like he said, shoulders back, breathing, oxygen, moving around, music's going. People say, "Well, I'm so distracted." On what? It's the same question, same thing. I'm happy. We're going to sell on our own. What question different are they going to ask each time? It's the same. Our statements they make the same statements over and over again. I have a friend in the business. We've already picked our realtor. It's all I heard. I heard that yesterday, numerous different times on split-ins. It's all the same answers. So when Jason's I got to listen to what they're saying when we were talking about that. I'd put it on mute. I'd be talking to him, and I told him, "Stop listening to them. Listen to me," because it's the same stupid answers you get every single time from every single potential client. I've got a friend in the business. We're just going to give it a couple of weeks. If you have a buyer, bring them by. Well, do you have anybody? It's all the same stuff. There's nothing different. I'm going to die here. I've been here for 50 years. What are your next questions? They're all the same stuff. They don't say anything new. No one says anything new. The only reason you haven't heard it is just because you haven't talked to enough people. Because it's all the same stuff every single time. Okay? So, energy. It's a good thing. All right? Lila? Energy. Right? Okay. Any thoughts on that? Anything else? Did add energy? Or did you have a question, Evan? No? Okay. Now we're going to actually get to what I was trying to talk about, right? So here's the deal. So I'm talking about if I start with the right focus, I start with the right energy. Number 3 for me is going through these skill sets that are necessary to setting appointments. And so the first thing I just want to put up here is that I'm going to actively listen. And so to actively listen, two things need to happen. All right? Two things, and they're simple. Number 1 and 2. Number 1 is I need to be able to ask questions. So a lot of the stuff that I was doing last night with the agents was, I would say, write this down, and because I wanted them to have more questions, like even just a simple one. When they say, well, I've lived here for 40 years. Great, who do you know that's currently renting that should be in their own home? I should just be able to roll right off of your tongue, right? You know, how are you using real estate to build your financial future, your empire, your retirement? How are you using real estate, one of the most important components financially, to build your wealth? How are you using it? I mean, these are questions that should just be rolling off the tip of your tongue the moment they say things like, oh, well, no, I don't know anybody who wants to move into our area. Great. You should know basic stuff to be able to answer, or, from a standpoint of, the amount of homes for sale, like average sales price. What's the average sales price in the market in Salt Lake County?
It's 300,000.
Our company's 308. I have to tell you, I haven't personally looked, but I thought it was like right around 300. But what is it? You were saying something. You were going to say something else?
I think it's more like 290.
290? All right. But pick a number. Does it really matter? That's all my point is. No. Oh my gosh, is that lying? No, it's not lying. Look. There's a statistic. What is it? There's a stat that says most stats are not 70% true. I don't know.
It doesn't.
Okay? But my point is that the company averages 308, just for the record. All right, so I thought it was actually 304 in a study that I saw. Actually, it was an article from USA Today that had Salt Lake County somewhere in that realm, but whatever it is, which is fine. All right, so then you should know days on market, average days on market, Salt Lake County?
About
15.
15 days.
And average price per square foot is?
119.
Okay. Actually, I don't know personally. It's been a little bit. I would have said 115. So if it's gone up, that's great. What is it? Someone looking at that email that goes out? You guys should know that stuff, though. I mean, look, every single minute you should be able to spit that stuff out, looking like and knowing that you're the expert. So, all right. So asking questions. So again, I think you need to have your questions down so that you can focus on these other things. Then, as you ask the questions, the number one building block to rapport, right? If we want to actively listen, or we want to build the rapport and the connection that we're talking about, we're going to actively listen, we're going to ask questions, and then we're going to repeat and affirm. I want to put another thing in here that is a critical component to that active listening, and that is to acknowledge them. Okay, so let's just give a few examples. I think yesterday, I don't know who I was splitting in with. I don't remember because I split in a bunch of times with people, or agents. But I remember I asked a question, repeated and affirmed. Then the person said, asked if they had any kids that they're currently renting, showing their own home. They said that they had 5 children, 4 of them owned their own home, 1 of them didn't and still lived at home. And all I did is I said, well, wow, great job on raising your kids right. Gosh, you got 4 out of 5 of them in their own house. That's awesome. I may seem simple, but people need to hear things like, good job, great. How often are you telling your clients that's a great decision? Good job on your decision. That's the right decision. People want to know when they've made a good decision. So, great job, great decision. You're on the right track, right? You're doing the right thing. Proud of you. You're doing great. You're doing awesome. When I'm prospecting, I'm going to do a lot of those things because the number one need of people is acceptance. Aside from basic survival, it's to be accepted. It's to be loved. Right? So repeat and affirm, then acknowledge and accept, right, is what we're looking to do. So when I'm repeating and affirming, I want to make sure I'm doing that. So let's just talk about that just a little bit. So if I'm repeating and affirming, we're going to repeat, or we're going to summarize what they said in so many words. They say, you know what, we're moving into a new home. We've got a contract on new construction. It's going to be done in about 90 days. Then you're just going to say, gosh, you got a new home, or you're under contract for a new home. It's going to close about 90 days. That, and then I'm going to repeat with, that's great. And then the next question, let me ask you this. So there's that part of it, but then there's the other part of it where I might use things that create doubt, right? So I might use words like interesting. I might use words like, I just had it, I can't remember it. Help me here. Words that create doubt. I just had one.
Really?
Yes, thank you. Really, Rick? Really? Making fun of me on my video? All right, okay?
It's a little bit further down the line, but when they say something that becomes contrary to where you would like them to go, that's when you say, I'm confused.
Yeah.
You're going to redirect them on that as well.
Yeah, you might redirect them. We're gonna get there. We'll get there on that stuff, but I don't want to go there yet. But the other one that I may also do is to, like, here's an example. My mother just died. That's why we're selling a home. Your mother just died. That's great. Now, some of you may not realize. That's why I'm sure I'm clarifying. Some of you may not realize you're not supposed to do that.
Really?
All right. I mean, some of you may be thinking, I always affirm positively, right?
I'm so sorry.
All right.
That's great.
So I might show some things that are empathy. Okay. Ouch. Right. Your mother just passed away. Ouch. Or your mother just passed away. I might use really, right, to show words that may have some empathy to them, right?
I just say I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you may.
Yeah.
There's argument as to whether you should or shouldn't, and I would just say follow your gut. If it makes sense to say you're sorry, then that's great. I mean, when people tell me they're getting divorced, I always say, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And sometimes people are like, oh, it's so good, it's so great. Well, good for you! I mean, seriously. And there's some people who are like, oh my gosh, it's the most worst thing, I can't believe it's happening. So, I mean, just, you got to ask, ask some questions. So, my point is the number one building block to rapport is asking questions. Number two in that, or combined, you can combine, is the repeating and the affirming, or the repeating and acknowledging, right? The good jobs, the hey, great decision. Hey, if I were, and we have the third, time does that say? 8:30? All right, so let's just do this number 3, right? And Rob brought it up, but it's our ability to show empathy. There's a lot of ways to do that, right? But an easy way to do that is, an empathy is really the ability to put yourself in their shoes without really experiencing what they experience, but you're trying so many words. I always say this, you're trying to do your best to experience what they're experiencing. You're trying to do your best to feel what they feel. It doesn't mean you can't even get there. I mean, you may want to, you may try to. I would be very cautious. There's not a lot that can get under my skin. Actually, there's a lot that gets under my skin. But this is one of the things that gets under my skin. Is when people say, oh, I know exactly what you're going through. How do you...
Only if they have.
What? Well, even if they have, how is it really for sure exactly? How do they know that? So don't say that, oh, I know right where you're coming from. How do you know that? Have you asked me enough questions? Oh, I had the same thing happen to me. And the worst thing you could tell me is you and I are just alike. No one is like me. And no one is like you, for the record. Okay? I have a whole other slew of things. Like, don't tell me what I'm thinking. I know what you're thinking. That can send me over the edge of it. Because you don't know what I'm thinking. And then my ears get really red. I may stay quiet or I may not. If I know you well enough, Rob, I might be very vocal.
If I was you, I'd feel the same way.
That's my point, right? And there we go. And Evan just said it. So if I just come for the entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. That's why. Someone just told me I was entertaining. I'm like, well, I hope I'm more than entertaining. All right, if I were you, right, I'd feel the same way too. All right? Look, you can say it different ways, but if someone says, oh man, I really, really don't like working with an agent. Look, no offense to you, but I just don't like agents. I got to repeat and affirm here first, right? You don't like agents. I might use the word interesting. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. I don't blame you. Now people say, well, why am I going to say that stuff? Because here's the deal. almost every call starts with this. They don't know you. They don't know who you are, right? They don't know what you're about. They don't know what you're trying to do. All the walls, barriers, doors, curtains of resistance are up because they don't know who you are and what you're trying to do. Anyway, so no, they know I'm trying to get, to help them find a home or sell a home. Yeah, but they don't really, and even if they know the concept of what, they don't know you. And so they're going to resist. So here's the deal, that when they say, I hate agents, and you say, you hate agents? Wow. Well, you know what? If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. I've got to work with these people. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I say things like, I don't blame you. I mean, and the moment I've done that, there's nothing to fight about. What are you going to fight about? What are they going to tell me? So here's the deal, that right after I've done something like that, I'm able to get right back on script and simply ask the basic questions of, well, great, where would you move to if you were to move, where would you go next? How long have you lived at this address if I'm doing just lists and just sold, right? How'd you happen to pick this area? Good for you, that's great. Right? And because I've got to make sure I show this empathy. They have to understand that I know where they're coming from. Some people say, well, wait, I don't feel that way, that they should sell on their own. Hence, the script doesn't say that. It says, if I were you. And if you're them, and they're already selling as a for sale by owner, right? If I'm Rick and I'm in lending, or if I'm Paul, I'm going to be, if they say, well, I'm looking on the internet for my rates and it seems like you guys are high, I'm going to say, first thing out of my mouth, you're looking on the rates, that's great, good for you. Boy, if I were you, I'd feel the same way too. If I were you, I'd do the same thing too. All of a sudden, now what are you going to fight about? Simple, it's done, it's over. Conversation, it'll come right back down to where they'll answer their questions. And then I might say, well, tell me, what are you really looking for? What are you really uncomfortable with? And they're going to answer. Instead of, well, why are you doing this? Or they say, I'm going to sell my home on my own. Well, why are you doing that? And all of a sudden we get combative because we start asking questions that start with why. One last thing here and we'll wrap up. Just remember, most of your questions, as a general statement, you can ask the question why, but I would challenge you to not, because if it becomes part of your normal dialogue, the why is, you should be thinking in your mind, it is very combative. Oops, not question. In almost all scenarios.
So why are you selling your home?
I, as a general rule, I would try not to do that. If it's me, I wouldn't ask you that. I would say, so tell me, what's important, Evan, about selling your home? Help me understand, what's most important. Share with me, what are you trying to accomplish? I can go with, hey, why are you selling your home? And it probably won't come across bothersome to them. But if you get in the habit of asking why, when all of a sudden they say, oh, I'm going to go sell my home as a for sale by owner. Well, why are you doing that?
That's your business.
Right, and all of a sudden it becomes combative because why questions almost always are you're questioning their values, their decisions, right? So if I'm we're going to go for sale, oh, you're going for sale by owner? Good for you. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. So tell me, Vladimir, what's important about going as a for sale by owner to you?
Save money.
Okay, and that's fine. We just go down, but we're not going to be combative. He's going to answer the questions, and he'll answer them usually honestly, and he'll answer them with very little resistance. Okay? I see a hand over here somewhere.
Yeah. Why you put them on the defensive? Anytime you ask them why question, they have to justify it.
Yeah, they got to justify their answer. Exactly. Right? So what, how, when, and who. And I just would try to avoid the why. It doesn't mean you're never going to ask it. It's not like you're never going to hear me say why. But just, it's the same thing in your journal. A lot of people in their lives go, why is this happening to me? Why? Why? But if you'll ask a different question, why is for whining. But if you want to get an actual answer, you ask a different question. What is important about this? Or what do I need to do to fix this? Or what needs to happen to make it better?
So do you teach
And all of a sudden, these become answers. Specifically, the what and the how are principles of action. Why is like this, let's just think about it and do nothing.
So do you teach your kids this?
Well, sure. Do they all do it? No. Yeah,
Why?
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I love to I love to harass my children. So I would just say because why? Because I said so. Just the rule. And they're like, you sound like you're like on, some TV show. I'm like, that's because I like to, yeah. This may seem like such simple stuff, but if you can weave this into a great tapestry, I will tell you that your ability to communicate by simply accepting people, acknowledging them, right? Actively listening by repeating and affirming, getting the right words like the greats, that's wonderful, that's awesome, good for you, right? And a repeat and affirm, which I consistently heard yesterday, is not this. Where are you moving to? We're moving to Riverton. Okay. Now you may say that you say it really nicely. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's great. That's still not repeating and affirming. That's affirming. It's not repeating. It's not actively listening. So just remember as you go through this, and then if you get to this third component where they start saying things like, I don't like agents, or I wouldn't work with an agent, or we're going to sell on our own, or we're looking at interviewing other people, or we're not sure if we're going to go with an agent, or we don't want to pay a commission. Well, you don't want to pay a commission. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. I don't blame you one bit. Hey, let me ask you. Right? Hey, we're going to go look. We really appreciate you visiting with us, Paul, but we also want to check in and see what's happening on the internet. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Don't blame you one bit. So tell me, what is it that you're looking for? No resistance. Done. Gone. No big deal. Okay? Questions, comments, thoughts?
One of my favorite quotes by Tony Robbins is, if you want a better answer, ask a better question.
That is a great one. Yeah. I thought you were going to say this one, by the way. I thought you were going to say, how about we stop being a little more less judgmental and be a little bit more what? Curious. Aren't you just curious as why people think the way they think and why they do what they do? Aren't you intrigued to just know why people do what they do and why they think and how they operate their life, why they believe what they believe? I'm fascinated by that. And some people are so judgmental. Whoa, I'm right and your way is wrong and therefore I will not listen. How about you maybe be curious? Go a long way with your own children. Aren't you curious as to why they think what they think and do what they do? Instead of trying to always make them wrong and tell them that they need to do what you want them to do always. You might find they might do what you want them to do if they just found out why they were doing what they were doing because you're curious instead of judging them constantly. So, just a thought. I just have a few opinions. Just a few, Paul. All right. Any other thoughts? Good stuff?
One of the things I got out of this was that resistance is pretty much key. We have resistance not only when we do cold calling, we also have resistance when you call your...
Right, like the Borg.
Everybody.
Right? The Borg. Remember the Borg? Resistance, the Borg. Are you a Star Trek fan?
Resistance is
yeah,
futile.
Borg.
Futile, yeah.
Exactly. See? Yeah, resistance is futile. See,
Okay, I get it eventually.
You got it. Hey, half the people don't even know what I was talking about. Like all against Star Trek, like it's a religion. We're Star Wars fans. All right. Okay. Anything else? All right. Repeat again. I started with what everyone last night was doing. I guilty myself. Is look, stay focused, right? And that focus is also making sure that you're repeating and affirming. Actively listen on a regular basis. Watch what might happen. Okay. All right. Here we go.
I knew that's what you were thinking.
I know. All right, here we go. I succeed because I have my goals.
I'm an optimist. I like talking to people. I know what's important to me. I remember people's names. I have a daily plan I follow it. I am passionate about real estate. I know consistency is my greatest tool. I like asking questions and listening. I enjoy reading to improve my sales skills. My thoughts think my emotions, action results. I focus on my dreams daily. My presentation is powerful persuasive. I improve my skills daily. I am happy. I love the prospect of being my business. I see my future is awesome. I love my life. I am grateful and thankful. I control my thinking. I believe in me. I feel outstanding. I use my beliefs to succeed daily. I get things done. I provide excellent customer service. I drink water daily. I connect with people. People love me. I love others. I am disciplined and on my daily schedule. I prospect daily. I set appointments daily. I'm a master persuader. I achieve my goals. I'm a real estate rock star. I'm passionate about my life. I live every day with purpose. I'm confident in my sales skills. I know my destiny. I'm healthy and strong. I'm powerful. I'm unstoppable. I need positive, exciting, fun, productive, jobs. I'm well planned. Yes! Morning. 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 Hey, morning. Morning.